Hey everyone, Calvin here. In US and Canada, going to medical school is considered to be very prestigious. It's something that those who go to medical school and their families and relatives often proud of. It's not just because medical professionals are those who treat diseases and save lives. It's mainly because they're one of the highest paying professionals. Why do I say that? Because other highest paying professionals are also considered to be very prestigious by general population. For example, lawyers, management consultants, asset managers, top executives of Fortune 500 companies, and top politicians, etc. They don't treat diseases or save lives, at least not directly. And they're considered almost equally prestigious as medical doctors. And some of them are even considered as more prestigious than being doctors. A friend of mine was accepted by UBC Medical School with almost perfect GPA and MCAT scores. But he decided not to go to medical school. Instead, he went to Bain & Company for management consulting. I asked him why. He said that smart people go to medical school. Smarter ones go to business. I don't know if that's true or not, but one thing is true. Going to management consulting, you start earning considerable amount of salaries once you got the job. Whereas going to medical school, you'll dig a hole before getting a residency position, with the promise that you'll pay back later. According to Canadian medical school statistics, the tuition fees for Canadian citizens and permanent residents is on average about $17,000 per year, because the total cost includes tuition fees, application fee, and related expenses. Most graduates report medical school debt of about $160,000. Especially when taking into account the medical school expenses and any other debt incurred indirectly by the medical school education, books, housing, etc. That would be $40,000 a year, assuming a 4-year medical school. If we calculate cost and benefit year by year until you retire as a medical doctor, you'll know when you will be debt-free and whether that financial outlook fits you. That's what we are going to do today. Many people think that doctors make so much money, therefore they can pay off their debt soon after their graduation. That probably is not the case for most people. Below we show the gross salaries of residents from the first year to the 5th year of training in British Columbia, Ontario, and Alberta as examples. Let's plug in Ontario number as an example in our later calculations. The average retirement age of physicians in Canada is about 65. Let's use that. Normally, a minimum of 3 years of residency is required, and a few more if you want to specialize with a fellowship. It's generally between 3 to 7 years, so that's average it to 5. That's neglect the interest you would pay on your loan to make it look better for those who want to go to medical school. Let's say you met a wonderful girl or guy and you live together now since your first year of residency. Let's say your family did not buy you a home in Toronto and you rent there. The average rent in Toronto is about $2,000. Let's split that by half. You would pay $1,000 per month. On top of that, you'd pay phone, TV, internet, dining out, clothes, utilities, and other miscellaneous items. Assuming that you don't rent a car or buy a car on a loan, or pursue expensive hobbies like skiing or snowboarding. Together, let's say you would pay about $17,000 per month for these activities. I think it's a realistic number in Toronto. With your rent, it will total at $2,700 per month. I think it's a realistic number for those who want to pay off their debts as early as they can, like me. In fact, that's not what most people normally do. A lot of people would lease car or buy a car on loan and pay for gas, insurance, monthly mortgages, etc. Or indulge in expensive hobbies like snowboarding or skiing, or buying expensive gifts for their partners, thinking that I'll earn a lot of money in the future so I can spend a little more right now. So that's at another $1,000 to make it final to $3,700 per month. That will be $44,400 a year. On average, this is how much a doctor in Canada make. SalaryExpert.com says that in Canada, doctor salary starts at $166,000 and grows based on experience. Let's say your salary equally increased from $166,000 at the start to the peak of $351,000 at your retirement age, 65. Let's say when your residency ends and when you actually become a doctor, you and your partner got a semi-detached 3-bedroom, $1 million home. in Toronto, probably because that's the price you can pay based on how much mortgage you can get. Assuming that you got 20% down pay from your side hustle or from your parents. At 2.5% rate for 25 years, you'll still have to pay $3,500 per month for your mortgage. Let's say your partner pays $1,500 of it and you pay $2,000. You also get a new car, let's say Tesla Model 3. Again, thinking that you'll earn a lot of money in the future. For that car, you pay $65,000 including everything. For 96 months at 3% rate, you'll need to pay about $550 per month for your car loan for 8 years. For these two loans alone, you have to pay about $2,550 per month. Because you got a job and you bought a new home and new car, you by default upgrade a lot of other things and pay more than you paid when you were in residency. Like you would buy a bit more luxury products and go to a bit more expensive restaurant for a bit more often times. And let's say your miscellaneous expenses totaled at about $2,700 per month. And you maintain this lifestyle for about 2 years before your first baby arrives. During this time, your yearly expense would be $63K, not including your partners. That's actually not too bad. Then your first baby arrived, you're 35. It increased your monthly expense by $2,260, including $1,000 per month for daycare. And according to some statistics, this is realistic. You maintain this lifestyle for about another 3 years with an annual expense of $90K. By then, you just paid off your medical school debt. Now your second child arrived and you want to buy Tesla Model X as your salary increased so that your partner can drive to his or her workplace. At 3% rate for 96 months, again 8 years. Now you have to pay extra $1,550 per month for the second car loan. And your second child add another $2,000 on your expenses. And your total monthly expense grows by another $3,550. This time your partner pays off half of that increase. So your expense increased by $1,775 per month. That would make your total expense reach $111,000. After 3 years, let's say your first child grows and his or her expenses decrease to $700 instead of $2,000. You also paid off your first car loan, making your annual expense to $86,000. That level of spending maintained another 3 years before your second child reached 6. Then your spending on your second child decreased by $1,300, making your total annual expense $82.5K. You keep this lifestyle for about another 2 years before paying off your second car loan, and your total annual expense became $73K. Your spending remained at that level for another 7 years before your first child goes to college, increasing his or her monthly expense from $700 to $1,750 on average per month, including tuitions and other expenses. It would increase your annual expenses to $85.8K. After 3 years, your second child goes to college, adding more to your expenses totaling at $98.4K. After another year, your first child graduated, got a job, and no longer needs your financial support, decreasing your expenses down to $77,400 per year. After another year, you finally paid off your home mortgage, decreasing your expenses down to $53.4K. After another 2 years, your second child graduated, got a job, and no longer needs your financial support, decreasing again your total financial expenses to $32.4K. Again, this doesn't include your partner's spending. From then until you retire, you spend $32.4K every year. So by the time you retire, you have $2.7 million in your bank account, a house worth $1 million by current value, and 2 old cars. In total, your net worth would be around $3.7 million. That's a lot. And for most people, this financial outlook is amazing, because most people cannot make even $1 million in their lifetime. Please note that we did not include annual property tax, property insurance, family trip to somewhere far away, honeymoon trip expense, wedding expenses, pet expenses, home renovation, appliances, your medical bills, your hobby fees, etc. We assumed that you'd buy a $1 million semi-detached home in Toronto, which is possible but quite rare. If you are a doctor earning $200,000 per year, you would most likely buy a detached $2 million home in Toronto. considering the current bloody expensive market condition. Of course, we did not assume you'd invest your money at all for simplicity. So in this illustration, we really assumed that you and your family would live a thrift life, meaning that this is close to best case scenario. If you would be satisfied with this best case scenario by the time you retire 65, this might be a good choice for you. But if you think that 3.7 million by the time you retire is not satisfying to you, and you have a bigger dream and ambition, and a better way to make more than that, you might want to look into other options like running a business or starting an entrepreneur. And please also note that these calculations are in current dollar value. They're all estimations and approximations. They're probably not as accurate as those from authorities, but they can give you a ballpark idea of what the financial future looks like for an average doctor. For our second question, for whom is it worth going to medical school? I really believe that each of us has different potential in different fields. For example, Warren Buffett may not perform in swimming as great as he has been in investing. Michael Phillips may not do in investing as awesome as he did in swimming. The same may apply to medical professionals. Someone who has the potential to become a good doctor may not be a good programmer. This is my personal opinion only. If you're a type of person who has a high IQ and EQ, who can learn details written in textbook very well, who can learn preset rules and best practices very well, who can work long hours, even during night, and who can be satisfied from helping others, then you might be a good fit as a doctor. But if you're a person who is purely interested in wealth instead of biology or medical knowledge, nor interested in helping others on a daily basis, then you might not choose to go to medical school. Instead, you can consider go to business school and management consulting later. If you are the type of people who are creative and entrepreneur-minded, then business might be a good choice for you. But being a doctor is more stable than working in business. At least to me, unless you become a specialist like a Dr. Strange, your financial outlook as a doctor probably not as exciting as you might think. Of course, Canada in general has very heavy tax, so you might be better off by going to the States. I'm not saying you shouldn't go to medical school. What I'm saying is that the financial outlook of being an average doctor might not be as great as you might have expected before going to medical school. By the way, after doing this calculation, now I realized why so many doctors start doing YouTube. Alright, I hope you learned something new and interesting. And in one of my future videos, I'll talk about programs in North America to study from a financial perspective, and also how to monetize your hobbies. If you're interested in hearing about them, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and also don't forget to destroy the like button below. As always, I'll see you next time.